Hey everyone, today I thought I'd take a look at the Soul Temple in Overlord. Now, this is more of a run through than like an actual guide. I'm going to talk through it, but I just thought I'd record it. This is for Overlord 15. I had hoped to do 16, but unfortunately, our group had some new members that we just did in Cross, and it didn't work out quite as well as we had hoped. But it was a great learning experience, so I thought when we ran 15 today with a normal group, it would be super easy just to record it and put it up here. Okay, I'm still going to skip the mobs because I just don't want to talk through a zillion mobs. But here I'm setting up markers. We did this a little different last time and it worked so easy for me. So the yellow moon is where we're going to tank the boss, and the white star is where the tank is going to drop the ad that they get. Now, if we had melee, we'd spread them out on the stairs right next to where that white marker is. And on the far side of the room, we have markers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is where the range is going to drop their ads. Now, it works out pretty well in this group. We had a little bit of mishap just because it was a new way of doing it. So, this actually gives you a really good idea of what to do and what not to do. So here we're dropping them all towards the back, which is great. And then you're just going to go ahead and DPS the boss. Now, after it does the moving the mobs to the back, she always does this attack to the nearest person. So it was very difficult if you were crossing the room to have the tank always get the damage. But in this case, because we're keeping the boss at one location, it was so much easier. Now, I know that for me, I was a little unsure about this, but if you look here for the circle, when everybody moves to the yellow moon for the circle, we're out of range of the mobs in the back. And if you look, there's nothing either on the stairs. So it works really well if, again, the melee and the tank drop their ads on the stairs and the range goes to the back. Now, this cross is a little bit of a pain sometimes if you're just if the boss gets too far back. So I keep kind of pulling it back to the middle. Oh, and I'm so tempted to skip through this, but a lot of this. But so here we have to, again, we just move everybody to the back. It works well. One doll is a little close. I like them really further closer back to the markers. But in this case, it worked out okay because we were able to just, move the red circles closer later on. Now, again, here I've got a doll, so I'm going to drop it over here on the stairs while the other dolls are dropped there. Now, one of those dolls is a little too close, I think, on that corner here. So when we do drop the red circles, I think that might be a problem. So, okay, let's just keep going through this. And I'm always trying to reposition the boss back in the middle a little bit more. But here we've got these circles again, and here's these big red ones, and you can see it's avoiding the ones in the back, and it's also not getting the one that I dropped on the stairs. And in this case, I think we were fine. So that doll was out of range, barely. So we were all right. Again, here we've got this cross mechanic and these circles. We don't want to both stack up the circles because that would be probably a bad idea. Okay, I'm too impatient with the videos to not fast forward. So we're just going to do another round of dolls, and again, keeping the ranged to the back. Now, if the ranged are too close and they can't get to the back in time, like here, they should really drop it on the stairs next to me, which was not made clear in this particular video, so I don't fault anybody. But you can see that doll in the back is on the side there is very close. Now, when we come up with the red circles in this particular case, the doll is going to be within that red circle. And here you can see the doll over there. Now, when the doll is in the red circle, it will probably wipe your group, especially if you get multiple dolls within this red circle. So here you can see that we are just not able to get it together enough to move it out of the circle. So when it goes off, it really takes everybody down. We were lucky because nobody died, and I think we still had our reses, so we were okay. but in this case, it could have wiped the whole group. So just be super careful that if you are going to do this, you position the dolls correctly and everybody knows where to go when the dolls are dropped. Okay, now we're going to move on to boss 2 and pretend that I didn't accidentally pull the boss and before all the mobs were cleared. So here we are at boss 2, and I think that everybody pretty much knows this one. This is one that actually everybody does really well and is probably one of the easier bosses in this area. I'll go through it really quick just to kind of go through it, but so there's a few things. The little teeny tiny message at the top, which if you watch the guide that I did for this, I zoomed in on it and everything, but it usually happens after like one of his big AoE attacks. So here you want to make sure that the person doesn't get intimidated twice in a row, otherwise it will wipe the group. So this other attack though is the where half the room either is real or fake and you have to either stand in or out of the yellow. Again, here we're in the fake realm. You can see because it's got the buff in the center of the screen and everybody wants to move out to the outside and not share damage. But see here, you can see that there was a little message, the furthest player. I'm moving forward because the healer is in the back. Typically I like to have either the healer or the tank, or both actually, switch off between who gets intimidated. That way if you miss it and a DPS gets intimidated, it's not too bad. But because there's more DPS, it's kind of harder to deal with. So here you've got the share damage in the back because we are in the fake realm. We do not want to share damage. Let's see. And again, here he's going to intimidate the furthest player because the healer was just done. I like to back up so that I am then intimidated or imitated. There we go. Next. So, and then you just kind of keep going like that. There isn't anything too remarkable about this fight other than this one section here. If you are in the fake realm and it does the double circle, you have to make sure that you're in both of the yellows, not just one of them, because I've seen a lot of players either die or lose a lot of health because they're not in both of those yellow circles. Now we're in the real realm again, so we're going to share damage. Again, these high overlords, it's really a good idea to have 4 to 5 people in that circle for share damage. Otherwise, they do take a lot of damage. Again, here we had a DPS imitated, and we want to try to avoid that if possible. But sometimes I forget and I don't look at the message. So, all right, real realm, just move out. And you get the idea for this fight. I was really gonna try to just let this be a playthrough and not have it be where I'm doing a lot of editing to it, but I just can't help myself. So I'm going to fast forward it because, I have to. So here you got, again, those double circles, but because the circle is in the close, you're going to stay in both of those double circles. The fake realm, this one's an easy one. Just do it. Then you get, again, the furthest player. I usually try to watch to see if the healer moves out. Otherwise, I try and move out. In this case, I didn't pay attention to the message, and so the DPS got imitated, but it's not a big deal because prior and after we have other classes do it. So again, the healer here is further out, so it's fine. And we just keep going with this boss, which is really long. Okay, he's almost done, so that's good. All right, so that's about it for this fight. Here we've got a share damage. Again, it's kind of hard to coordinate where you go with the share damage, but maybe a marker might be helpful. But with it moving around the room, it's a little bit more challenging because you can't really always predict it. Well, I need more tainted, so I always try to do the tainted whenever I can. All right, so moving right along to boss 3. All right, one of my guild members told me once that, as a tank, you need to take charge and make sure that you kind of lead the group because otherwise DPS just kind of runs around like crazy, which is often very true. In this case, we have a great healer who also takes charge. and teaches us a lot. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and take charge and mark the players. What we're doing is we asked for 2 people to interrupt the mobs. So I'm marking the 2 players who are going to be doing the interrupts. Only because it's easier then, everybody's on the same page and knows exactly where to go and where to stand, rather than trying to like run around and pick which of the ads you're going to interrupt. So I also put a corresponding purple and green marker down so that the range in there, or DPS players in this case, would know which ad to focus on for interrupting. So that's what the markers are for. It just makes it easier for everyone. Now here I'm just going to pull the boss, and I go in a circle around the circle in the room. It just makes it easier. Now for the sheer damage, it's a lot easier if one person comes to the tank that needs to share with the tank. That way you're not ending up with the boss all over the room, dropping purple puddles everywhere. So again, here I just try and scoot just out of range of the puddle and move back. Now in the back you can see the 2 sisters, and they are both kind of glowing before they're interrupted, and then they're interrupted and we kill them. Now there was talk about if you just kill one sister it's okay, but that it can be kind of glitchy sometimes, and so you don't want to mess that up. So in this case we chose to just go on the safe side and kill both sisters. Be tainted with the shadow domain. You go into the purple puddle, you just need to for a second, and that way when she does this little stomp AoE, it doesn't damage anyone. Otherwise it tends to wipe the group. So these green circles just stay out of range, just move out of the way so that you're not piled on top of each other, and then there's a little cone of damage there. So those are very simple, easy mechanics. Again, I like it when somebody comes over to me as a tank so that the boss doesn't run all over the room like that and get out of position, because that drives me absolutely nuts. So what we were doing here for the sisters, because I think they're coming up next, is that we decided to interrupt the sisters one time and then not interrupt them the second time. So here, because the sisters were not interrupted, both of them, we are going to get this other mob to clear the purple circles. So I think in adventure mode we had a little timer at the bottom, and I don't remember seeing that in this. So maybe they took it out in Overlord, because the ad that would get rid of the puddles would just randomly spawn when the timer got to, well, it wasn't random. When the timer got to 100%, it would spawn. And I am not seeing that in here, so I'm wondering if they took it out for Overlord. But I swear it was in here before, so I'm not sure what happened to it. So anyway, that is why we decided to do the every other, we would interrupt the sisters. So you can see they just went from casting to interrupting. And so now we're going to go ahead and kill the sisters and then come back over and DPS the mob or the boss. And the next time we go through this, we will not interrupt them so that we get the ad. Okay, up next is to be tainted with shadow domain. So move in, just get touched by those purple puddles to get the buff, and then move back out. We're going to avoid cone of damage and stacking there, and just continue to pull the boss around the circle. Share damage, just be careful not to overlap those share damages. We had the first attempt, I think, that we did, or maybe it was yesterday when we were running this, we had 2 players overlap and it wiped a lot of people. So again, here we did not interrupt the sisters, so we get this ad where we have to, one of the DPS will have to pull the other sister through these purple puddles and clear 8 of the purple puddles. I should be clear on that, because I don't know, I always think that by now most people know the mechanics, and they probably do, but not everybody does. So again, just make sure here we're going to interrupt. If you don't interrupt them and you get that ad and you can't clear 8 puddles, if there's not 8 puddles down, then the boss will do a huge AoE, or maybe it's just that the ad will explode But either way, it usually wipes the group. So you really want to make sure that you do not have that little girl on the tether before you have 8 puddles down, or else it just doesn't go well. All right, so again, they're transferring the energy. We interrupted them. Oh, in this case we didn't. Sorry, we didn't interrupt one of them. So we clear the puddles. Now, again, I try to keep the boss towards the center of the room and go in a circle, because if it's too close to the edge, it's really hard to pull that boss or that ad through the puddles to clear them. So that was it. We did OL 15. Now, if you're not doing the Zodiac thing, this is located under the events and festival, you should really be doing it. Now, the reason is, I mean, it does give a cool mount, and actually I just finished this one, but the more important reason I think is the titles. Now, the lower ones, I was like, oh, they're just titles, who cares? But then I realized that all titles give, or not all titles, many titles give permanent stats. So you're getting a stat bonus just for completing them, the Zodiac things for Overlord. So make sure to look at those under event and festival and do those. So here I got a mount because this was the one of the ones that gave mounts. So you're watching VGO 40, and we will see you next time in World of Kings.